Gentlemen, what is going on today? My name is Ryan Mickler. I am the host and the founder of this podcast and the Order of Man movement. I want to welcome you here, welcome you back. All the same things I say every single week. But regardless, I am glad that you're here. Now, if you're watching this via YouTube, you might be looking at my hat and thinking, what is different with Ryan? He's wearing a beanie instead of an Order of Man hat. That's right, because for the first time ever, we have the new Order of Man beanies in stock. You can go check it out at store.orderofman.com. We're a great way to support us and what we're doing. And also, as I'm recording this is our very first snowstorm of the season. So if I were to look just right outside of my window here, I'd see about 3 or 4 inches of snow, and it hasn't let up all day, and we are officially in winter weather here in Maine. Now, guys, I wanted to talk with you. I have no notes. Typically, I make some notes, and my thoughts are very collected with regards to what I want to talk with you about today. It's a little bit different today. Before I get into that, I do want to express my gratitude towards my friends and show sponsors over at Origin Maine. Now, these guys make jiu-jitsus and rash guards and lifestyle apparel and denim and boots and the joint warfare that I take for my aching joints, and their pre-workout and their discipline and their cognitive enhancer, which is called Discipline Go. I like their sour apple sniper. I also like Dave Burke's what is it called? I think it's called Afterburner Orange or something like that. You guys can go check it out. Go check it out at Origin Maine, as in the state Maine, originmaine.com, and use the code ORDER at checkout. I believe if you're listening to this on Black Friday, which is the day it's released, that you're going to get a 24, don't quote me, but I believe it's a 24% discount for the next 24 hours over at Origin Maine. Use the code ORDER at checkout. Actually, you don't even need to use the code if you're using this for Black Friday, because you're going to get a better discount than what I can offer you. So just go over to Origin Maine, check it out, see what they have to offer. You guys will not be disappointed. Guys, a little different today, outside of me wearing a beanie instead of a hat. I wanted to just tell you thank you. I know it's in vogue, right? As we're coming off the back of Thanksgiving, to tell you thank you, to express our gratitude. But I think there's power in expressing gratitude. We're acknowledging what's working. We're acknowledging what's going well. We're acknowledging the hand of others that have a part to play in the growth and the progression and the enhancement of our lives. And I've certainly recognized, and I want to acknowledge that in you. I started the Order of Man podcast and movement in 2015, so we're almost on 6 years. In March, it'll be 6 years, which is crazy to think about. And guys, I never would have imagined that we would grow and we would become this international movement that we've become to reclaim and restore masculinity. Now, not everybody's on board. Not everybody believes in what we believe. Not everybody believes that there's certainly a dismissal of masculinity. But for those of you who do, and those of you who are banded with us, we're doing great work. We're doing important work. We're salvaging the lives of men, which in turn will save families and businesses and communities. And it's apparent to me that in society today, in spite of all of the amazing things that we have going on in society, that men are needed now more than ever. I firmly believe that there's some overreach of the government happening. I'm not going to get into the COVID argument and debate with you right now. You can go back and listen to previous podcasts and check that out. But I do believe that the response is overreaching and overarching and, frankly, inappropriate. I believe that because we live in such a free and prosperous time, that it's believed either consciously or subconsciously that men and masculinity are not needed. And the only reason we can say that and even think that, possibly think that, is because men have created this incredible environment where there's freedom and life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. And if strong and courageous and bold men who have afforded us those luxuries. And so it's critical and it's crucial now, potentially more than ever, that we as men learn how to lead ourselves first in our families, in our businesses and communities. And I just want to thank you as an expression of my gratitude. Sorry, I've got something in my throat today, but it's an expression of my gratitude to let you know that this mission and this thing, I can't think of a better term, but this thing that we're doing here with Order of Man could not possibly happen without you. You guys have interacted, you've engaged, you've shared, you've explained your positions, you've agreed, you've disagreed, you've done it respectfully, you've challenged me, you've helped me improve indirectly as a man, you've encouraged me to continue to lead my family well. You've encouraged me to continue to drive on with this mission. You've encouraged me through your words and your deeds and your actions that the mission and the message that we're sharing here, that of reclaiming and restoring masculinity, is crucial. And that the value that we're adding and enhancing to your life is noted and it's applied. And it's, again, messages from you who have taken back control of your fitness, who have reclaimed your role as the patriarch of your family, that you've gotten yourself out of debt and you've salvaged your marriage and you've reconnected with your kids and you've developed that quote unquote X factor that most people won't recognize as confidence through the actions that you've taken over the past year and over the past years. You've proven to me that this is valuable. That above and beyond the business, and this is a business, I make no qualms about it. You know, I'm a for-profit business. I'm trying to add value to you. I'm trying to get you to acknowledge and recognize that there is extreme value in what we're offering, whether that's a beanie like I'm wearing today, or a shirt, or the Iron Council, or the book that I wrote. That whatever you decide to acknowledge through your pocketbook and purchasing these courses and this merchandise and the programs and the things that we offer, that you feel like you're getting more in return. That's my goal. And isn't that the goal of all men? Or shouldn't it be the goal of all men? That we add value to our interactions and our relationships and the interactions and conversations and podcasts and everything that we're doing on a daily basis, that we add more value. I was walking around the other day with my son as we were hunting, and we saw some trash, and I said, let's pick that trash up. And we picked it up and threw it in our pocket. And I said, it's always better to leave a place better than you found it. And if there isn't a better message for what it means to be a man than that, leave a place better than you found it, I don't know what is. And I want to tell you, I want to acknowledge you, I want to recognize you, that you as men are leaving the place better than you found it. You're adding value to my life. You're holding me accountable. You're encouraging me. You're fostering growth and development. And you're spending time with your children. And you're engaged in intimacy physically and mentally and emotionally with your wives, which I think is all wonderful. And you're developing businesses. And you're growing your current business. And you're marketing. And you're adding value to people's lives. And you're leading from the front. And you're doing what you believe is right. That's what we need, guys. That's what we need. And so as I look at the number of downloads in this podcast, which at this point is over 7 figures, this podcast is downloaded over 1 million times a month. That's crazy. That doesn't even barely register in my mind, that over 1 million times a month. And I acknowledge and honor the fact that you are downloading the podcast and you're listening and you're engaged and you're sharing and you're commenting and you're doing book clubs and having discussions about the topics that we're discussing on a weekly basis, which frankly just sounds wild. I never would have thought that this would be the case. But at the same time, as I acknowledge what you guys have done and how far we've come, I see and recognize how far we have to go. We might get 1 million downloads a month, but we need 5, 10, 20, 30, 300 million downloads a month. We need more fathers, more husbands, more community leaders, more business owners who adhere and believe in the message of reclaiming and restoring masculinity and are making ourselves capable in all ways. And guys, I'm here to tell you, I've got some big plans. Know that. Know that. I've got some big plans for Order of Man in 2021. COVID be damned. We're going to do some incredible things. We're going to have conferences, and we're going to have courses, and we're going to have new merchandise, and we're going to expand the capabilities and the resources and the reach of the Iron Council. We're going to continue to bring on some absolutely phenomenal guests. I'm working on securing some guests right now that the conversations that I know we will have will absolutely blow you away and boggle your mind and cause you to become a better husband and father and community leader and business owner. But again, I want to tell you that none of this would happen without you. And so I thank you. And this show is about you. It's about what you do for me as a business owner. It's about what you do for me as an individual, because as I see the messages that I receive from you about leading your families and your businesses and your communities well, I want you to know I'm inspired. You know, I never set out to do Order of Man and have this podcast as something where I position myself as superior to you. We're on the same battlefield. And when I share things about what it means to be a man, I share it for myself just as much as I share it for you. These are reminders. And as you're engaged in the noble and virtuous work of masculinity, I see it. I acknowledge it. I recognize it. And it helps me to be a better man. It helps me to lead my children more effectively. It helps me connect deeper with my wife. It helps me to remember that maybe I shouldn't have those chips and salsa that I would love to have. And that maybe I should work a little harder than I currently do. And perhaps I should explore some hobbies and some interests and activities that are engaging or at least interesting to me, but I would have been too afraid or created all sorts of excuses to keep me from engaging those activities and hobbies. But when I see you do it, I'm reminded that I too should be doing those things and I should be improving myself. And guys, I want you to know that we're in this thing together. No man is an island. We can't make our decisions in a vacuum. So as I make decisions positively and negatively, I recognize that they impact you positively and negatively. And I want you to understand that as you make positive decisions in your life and you message me those things and you tell me how this is improving your life, that it's enhancing mine. And I'm grateful for that. And so I know it's, as I said earlier, it's very convenient to express my gratitude in the wake of Thanksgiving, which most of us are celebrating at this point, or at least did yesterday. I hope you had some turkey and some pie and you enjoyed your time with family and friends and that you didn't let the government dictate what you could and couldn't do. That's another conversation. I'm excited. I am. I'm excited about the prospects of this organization, of this movement. I'm excited about the prospects of your life as you continue to improve, as you implement the strategies that myself and our other guests share. And I'm excited for what you have to teach me. And you do. You know, I look at a lot of these influencers. And I try not to be this way, but I see a lot of arrogance and ego in these influencers. And I have it too. I'm not going to tell you I don't. You know, when somebody says something that maybe potentially undermines what I have to say, I can't lie to you and say that I don't get offended or upset. I do. You know, it impacts me as a human being, but I try to be better than that. I try to extract my ego, my pride. But as you share things with me that aren't always comfortable to hear, it's good. It's good for me. It's powerful for me. And we have a long way to go. I do too. So occasionally people will ask me, excuse me, I'm super congested today. It's not COVID. It's just like a head cold. But as I hear from people and what they have to share and what they have to say, I know I'm guarded and reserved, and I let my ego and pride get the better of me. But man, these are things that I need to hear, and as I share these things, I want you to know that these are messages that are just as much for me. I mean, people will say, "Well, what makes you the expert, Ryan? What makes you the expert?" I'm not an expert, guys. Newsflash, in case you didn't acknowledge or recognize that I'm not an expert in what it means to be a man. I'm along for the ride. I'm along for the journey, man. I struggle as a father. I really struggle with patience and empathy and compassion and understanding. I struggle with a lot of these things. I'm good at a lot of these things, and I struggle with a lot of these things. I struggle as a business owner. You know, things don't always go according to plan, and things don't always work out the way that I would hope that they would, and I don't make as much money as I would like, and I don't have the experiences that people have, and I struggle, you know? So what I share with you, as much as it is for you and I want to serve, it's also a reminder for me. So I'm not the expert, and frankly, you're not the expert either, but I feel like through what we're doing here with Order of Man, collectively through thousands, if not millions of men, we can figure out the best path forward. But why do I do it, man? I do it because I want to be a better father. I want to be a better husband. I want to lead my community, and I want to lead my business and those people who are impacted by the work that I'm doing. So I'm constantly striving to be better, and you help me do that. So I know this one is different. I know that maybe at this point you feel like, what the hell is Ryan talking about? He's rambling. And maybe I am to a degree, but ultimately, in the bottom line that I wanted to share with you today is my gratitude. My gratitude for what you've done for me, whether you realize it or not. My gratitude to you for helping me lead my children better, to connect more deeply with my family. And every time I think I'm doing something for you, I'm reminded that you're actually doing something for me. And you're part of this. It isn't Order of Ryan. Look, it isn't Order of Ryan. It's Order of Man. We're all in this thing together. And of the millions of people who are listening, I learn from you. I thank you. I express my gratitude for what you're doing. And gratitude is so powerful. Let's talk about, and I'll riff on that for a minute, is how powerful gratitude is. Without expressing gratitude, you're closing yourself off to the reality that maybe there's some outside circumstances that have helped you get to where you are. And as high-achieving, hard-charging men like you and I are, it's hard at times to stop and take a deep breath and consider that maybe you didn't do this on your own. That maybe somebody else was helping you. That maybe there were some people along the way who lifted you up, who gave you a kick in the ass or the balls when maybe you needed it. I know I certainly have. And that this isn't yours. Order of Man is not mine. It's my business, sure. I registered it. I trademarked it. But it isn't mine. It's your guys's. And I constantly strive to remember and maintain that level of humility. This is yours. I'm here to serve you. And you're here to serve me and other men who would be listening and engaging with what we're doing. Gratitude is crucial, guys. Consider that in spite of everything that you want, you already have everything. You already have everything. You may not feel like it. You may not recognize it. But life's pretty good. You've got family. You've got friends. You've got your health. You've got aspirations. You've got hope. Hope is the most important thing. You've got love from other individuals. You've got ideas. You've got influence. If we don't acknowledge those things, then we're leaving potential on the table. Because I've acknowledged that I'm powerful and that I have influence and authority and credibility and health and love. Then I can focus on those things to produce effective outcomes for myself and the people that I care about. And if I fail to acknowledge those things, then I fail to acknowledge that there's some resources at my disposal to be able to impact positively my life and the people that I have responsibility for. Gratitude is crucial. So I strive to remain gracious. I strive to express my gratitude to you and the other people who have impacted my life positively. And I'll tell you what, as I do that, my life is better. Not that it's changed. And that's the interesting thing about gratitude. Just because you express gratitude, your life doesn't objectively change. It might because you're doing some different things, but inherently it doesn't objectively change. It subjectively changes. The circumstances around you don't immediately and instantaneously change because you've decided to acknowledge that there's some real blessings that have been bestowed upon you in your life that doesn't change. But the way that you view life changes. And because you view it differently, and you're coming at it from not a position of scarcity, but abundance, now you start doing things differently. Your mindset changes, which leads to new actions that are going to improve your life. And here's the beautiful thing about gratitude. It doesn't take any skill or talent to be able to express it. All that it takes is a little bit of time, a little bit of reflection to think about the things that are going right and being grateful for those things. And grateful to the people who have afforded you those things, whether that's God or your friends or your wife or your kids or people you don't even know. And that's what I wanted to acknowledge in you. And by the way, what we give away, we get back in return. I was thinking about this the other night. Maybe have even been last night. I was thinking about that this law, this eternal principle, and I don't even know how to fully articulate it, but what we give away, we get in return. Here's an interesting story. Years ago, I was in the financial planning business. I've told you guys about this. And I saw this guy continue to get phone calls. He was getting phone calls. His phone was ringing like nonstop with new clients and prospects. And I thought, man, how is this guy doing this? How is he getting so many clients and prospects and growing his business? And I just couldn't wrap my head around what he's doing. And I said, I know what I'll do. I'll ask him. Surprise, surprise. I just asked him. And I said, hey, I'm not going to use his name, but I said, hey, I see your phone ringing off the hook. Clients are calling you and they're telling you they want to invest and they want to purchase products from you, and you're growing your business and you're perpetually performing. Like, I don't understand how to do that. Like, how do I get to the point where people are calling me and calling me back? And he said, Ryan, they're not calling me back. These people aren't calling me. That's what he said. These people aren't calling me. They're calling me back. And I said, what do you mean? He's like, they're just returning my phone calls. Now that might seem like like there's not a lesson there necessarily, but there's a lesson there. And I was fortunate enough to understand the lesson. The lesson at the time was these people aren't just miraculously calling. They're calling back, which means he gave away. He was making calls. He was exerting himself. He gave away his time and attention and energy. And because he was willing to pour it out in other people, they were willing to return it. And that's the power of gratitude. When you're grateful for the things that you have, the things that you don't have are not as relevant or consuming or sucking the life and consuming the resources of your life, because you're not so focused on what you don't have. You're focused on what you do, which means that you're pouring into the things that work. You're pouring into the things that offer value, that enhance your life. And so, guys, if you're not expressing gratitude on a continual basis, I would suggest to you that there's a huge void and there's low-hanging fruit for abundance and prosperity. You already have everything. I said it before. The only reason you don't think you do is because you're failing to acknowledge what you actually have, which is amazing. And even in the midst of difficult and trying and uncertain times, you already have everything. Use it. Recognize it. Acknowledge it. Live abundantly. And if you do, you'll realize that what you need is not actually really all that much. And ironically or unironically enough, that as you acknowledge what you have, it will be given to you. Just like this advisor, he gave away his time and attention and resources and energy, and people weren't calling him. They were simply calling him back. They were returning to him what he had given to them. That's my experience of life. This might be a little different podcast, a lot different podcast than I've done in the past. But I'm telling you, the power of gratitude is real. It's evident, it's tangible, it's palpable in my life. And every time I express gratitude, not only do I feel better, but I'm rewarded because I did. So if you want to be happy, and I don't think that's the goal of life, by the way, but if you want to be happy, and fulfilled, which I think is more relevant, satisfied, purpose-driven, then acknowledge that what you have is wonderful. You know, I look around at what I have with technology, with this podcast, and the books that I get to read, and the people in my life. You know, there's some pictures here of people that I really care about. As I acknowledge they're already here, they're already present in my life. And if I had nothing else, I have these relationships, I have this knowledge, I have this technology, I have this opportunity to express an opinion that I feel like is important. I have the opportunity to hunt and to be engaged with jiu-jitsu and other activities and interests and hobbies that are important for me, that edify me and uplift me and make me feel good. That I already have everything. I have it all. And you do too. You just need to acknowledge it. So on the heels of Thanksgiving, guys, again, I want to cap and close with saying that I appreciate you, I acknowledge and recognize you, and I encourage you to do the same thing, not for me, but for other people in your life who have served you well, who have stood by you when maybe they weren't obligated or required to. The technology that you have, the information that you have, the abundance and prosperity of the access of information that we have never had in the history of humankind. And as you do, I promise you, your life will get better. Maybe not objectively, at least initially, but subjectively, you will begin to view your life different. And as you view your life different, you will do different things. You will think differently. You will do different things. You will call on different people, and your life will get better as a result of you expressing gratitude for the things that you have. Try it. Prove me wrong. Give it an honest effort over the next 30 days. Spend the rest of this year, 2020, in the wake of just an insane year, all right? We can all agree it's an insane year, regardless of our political affiliations or our beliefs. It's insane. It's insanity. This year is crazy. And in spite of the craziness that we've experienced this year, for the next 30 days or 32 days or whatever it ends up being based on when you listen to this podcast, just prove me wrong. Spend every day for the next 30, 31, 32 days expressing gratitude, writing a message, jumping on the phone and calling somebody you haven't talked to and just saying, hey, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate you. And just see where it takes you. See where it takes you. If I'm wrong and it doesn't create any sort of abundance in your life, then you can revert back to what you were doing before. I don't think I'm wrong. I think I'm right. Life has proven to me that's the case. So guys, get after it. Be thankful. Express gratitude. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for motivating and inspiring me. We've got a lot of work to do. And 2021 is going to be incredible. Why? Because we're going to make it incredible. Regardless of the COVID climate, regardless of political affiliations and things that are going on, it's always going to be catastrophic in the eyes of the media. But you know what? We got a good thing going on here. Let's keep it going. Let's keep charging. Let's keep leading our families and our businesses and communities. Let's keep doing it well. And thank you. Thank you for helping me. All right, guys. We'll catch you next week. Until then, go out there, take action, become the man you are meant to be.